Hello everybody and welcome back to Gaming on Caffeine. My name is Isaac and we are back for episode 4 of the CrackPack. Last episode, we were working on setting up our auto spawner for Enderman, and at the very end of last episode, we made the Ender Sword, which, as you can see since the end of last episode, I have been using a fair bit, and that is because in today's episode, we are going to need quite a lot of mob heads. So I spent quite a bit of time inside of this room, just waiting for the Enderman to spawn, and then killing them with the Ender Sword. That allowed me to get a bunch more Ender Pearls, as well as get the 3 Enderman heads that we now have in this chest over here. And then after I got those, I also went around and did the same thing with the skeleton spawner, got a bunch of skeleton heads, and then I did a bit of flying around to get the same for the zombies and the creepers, and we'll get to why we need those a little bit later on in today's episode. But to start with, what I want to work on in today's episode is I want to work on automating our power generation system. So my plan is, for the time being, to stick with lava power. I do want to continue to use these magmatic dynamos to provide us with power, but I want to automate the way in which we get the lava from the nether to the overworld, and I want to do it in a way that's a little bit different, because it's really easy for us to make some tesseracts, put a tesseract in the nether, put a tesseract in the overworld, pump that stuff through from the nether to the overworld, and then use it that way. But where's the fun in that? And so what I want to do today is I want to do the same thing, but in a bit of a different way. I want to try and use railcraft to move the lava from the nether through to the overworld, and then use that lava to power our magmatic dynamos. We'll probably end up making a few more of these magmatic dynamos as well, just so we can get a bit more power for the long term. And so we're going to start today's episode by making a coke oven, because if we look at the recipe for any of these rails, they all require a wooden rail bed, and to make that we need 4 wooden ties, which are made with wooden slabs, and then a bucket or a bottle of creosote. And to get creosote, you have to put coal into the coke oven. The coke oven is a hollow 3x3x3 multi-block requiring 26 of these coke oven bricks, each of which requires 5 sand and 4 brick. And so between episodes, I did smelt up a bunch of the clay. We got 2 stacks in here, and I also went around and grabbed a bunch of sand. So making this guy shouldn't be all too difficult. Let's see if we can go ahead and make 26 of those. We've got a little bit extra, that's fine. We only need 26 because it is hollow in the center. And then once we've got all of those, I'm thinking of putting it right on the back wall over there. I'm not quite sure why we've got a hobgoblin. I don't know where that came from. I don't think they spawn in the nether, and the only other place I could think that it could have come from is through the portal we made to the mining dimension. But to get to that portal, you have to shift, and so I have no idea where this hobgoblin came from. Maybe it just spawned here, maybe it worked its way inside and then down my ladder somehow in some other fashion. But either way, it's here now, so you have to listen to it whine in the background. But let's get rid of all this stuff here, and once we clear this out, we can start to put down all of the coke oven bricks in a 3x3 area, with the middle block being completely hollow, something like this. You'll know you're doing it right when the little window pops up in the middle there. And now what we can do is we can fly on back upstairs, grab a little bit of our coal, and if we throw that into the coke oven, it's going to start to turn that coal into coal coke, and the byproduct of doing that is going to be some creosote oil. Now this thing takes a ridiculous amount of time to actually do this. If you look right now, you can see this bar is taking forever to make that happen. It takes 1,800 ticks, and there are 20 ticks per second in Minecraft, which means it's going to take about 90 seconds, so a minute and a half for every single piece of coal to be turned into a piece of coal coke. And every time you do that, you get, I think, half a bucket worth. Yeah, you get 500 millibuckets worth of creosote oil, and it takes 1,000 millibuckets to fill up 1 bucket worth of creosote. So we're going to leave that running. That's why I started today's episode with the coke oven, because we kind of have to leave it going in the background there. And so whilst we're waiting for that, I'm going to work on the rest of the stuff we're going to need to transfer all of the lava from the nether through to the overworld. And to do that, my plan is to use the ender rail from Ender.io, which is this guy over here. And essentially, what this does is if a cart passes over that rail, that cart will teleport from one ender rail to another ender rail. And so my plan is to have one of these in the nether, another one in the end, and then have a cart carry the lava from a pump in the nether through over the ender rail to another ender rail in the overworld, bring it to a place where we can drop that lava off. That lava can then be used to power the magmatic dynamos, providing us with redstone flux. So the way that you make the ender rail here is with 1 detector rail and 1 soul vial containing an enderman in a soul binder. And if we look at the recipe here for a soul binder, we need 1 enderman head, 1 creeper head, 1 skeleton head, 1 zombie head, 4 solarium, and 1 machine chassis. And that's why I used the ender sword so much between episodes. So we've got all of those. All we need now are the 4 solarium ingots and a machine chassis. We are going to need a fair amount of solarium in today's episode, and to get this, we need 1 soul sand and 1 golden ingot. I don't think we currently have any soul sand in any of our chests, and so what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go through to the nether, I'm going to grab a bit of soul sand, and I'll be back in a second. And once I've got the soul sand, I can combine that up with some gold in the alloy smelter. That's going to get us the solarium. And now if we look back into here, the other item that we needed for the ender rail was a soul vial containing an enderman. So to make a soul vial, we need yet more solarium as well as 3 fused quartz glass. I'm not quite sure if we have any fused quartz glass left from last episode. It doesn't look like we do, but we do have a bunch of nether quartz that we got from the end of last episode as well. And so once this is done, we can start to put some more of the quartz into the alloy smelter. That'll get us the fused quartz glass. And then essentially, once we've got the soul vial, all we have to do is right click on an enderman, and that will contain the soul of the enderman within the soul vial. And then we can combine that up with the detector rail and 100,000 redstone flux, and that will get us the ender rail and the soul vial. The other things that we're going to need for all of the rails as well are the standard railings. So all of the tracks and rails within Railcraft also require some form of railing, and to make those, we need to use the rolling machine. So the rolling machine is another machine from Railcraft, and it's made fairly easily with 4 iron ingots, 4 pistons, and 1 crafting table. So whilst we wait for that solarium to smelt up, because it is taking quite a long time to smelt up there. How long does that take, or how much redstone flux? It takes 10,000 redstone flux per piece of solarium, so that might take a little while to smelt up there. But whilst we're waiting for that, let's come back over here. Let's grab a little bit of wood so we can make ourselves a crafting table, and also let's grab a little bit extra with some cobblestone so we can make ourselves all of the pistons. We're also going to need a couple of iron ingots as well to craft those pistons up, but it should be fairly easy for us to grab 4 of those and then craft that together with a crafting table to get ourselves the rolling machine. We're missing 1 piece of iron. Let me grab that real quick and then try that one more time. And boom, the rolling machine. Nice. So for now, again, we will stick this downstairs along this back wall with all of the rest of our machines. I'll put it like right about there. And we should probably start just by looking at normal rail. So we look at the normal track from vanilla Minecraft. To make this, we need 6 standard rail. And for those, we just have to put 6 iron ingots into the rolling machine. And so if we do something like this, we get ourselves 8 standard rail. Nice. How is the cook oven doing? It currently has 2,500 millibuckets worth of creosote oil. So if we come on back here, do we currently have a bucket of any kind? I'm fairly certain we do. Yeah, we do. Let's grab that. And now if we come on back downstairs, we've got some oak wood. We can craft up some slabs, and we should be able to make the wooden rail bed fairly easily here. So let's craft some slabs. Let's use those slabs with the bucket worth of creosote oil. That's only going to get us 1 wooden tie. We do need 4 of those wooden ties to make the wooden rail bed, so we are going to have to do this a few more times. And once we've got the 4th and final wooden tie, we can craft all 4 of those together to get our first wooden rail bed. And now, in order to make the detector rail, all we need is 1 pressure plate and 1 piece of redstone, both of which should be fairly easy to get. I'm fairly certain we have some stone in here, and we do. So we can craft that up in here into the pressure plate like so, and then we can craft all that stuff together to get ourselves some detector rails. Nice. So now, the stuff over here should be done. We've got all of our solarium, and I also put most of my nether quartz into here as well, so we now have some more fused quartz also. So if we come back over here, we can put 3 of those in a bucket shape with the solarium on top. That's going to get us a soul vial, and if we head on back downstairs and switch on our enderman spawner, we should be able to grab an enderman within this soul vial fairly easily. So let's see about flicking this on. That tick timer is going to run down, and once that hits 0, the first enderman should spawn. The grinder might kill it right away if that hits 0. Oh, no, it's not. I'm going to grab it. There we go. Cool. So now we've got the enderman in the soul vial, and we've also got the detector rail. All we need now is the actual soul binder, and actually I'm going to turn this off real quick because I'm not really too interested. Is that stopped? Yeah, okay, so that's stopped. I'm not really too interested in getting more ender pearls just yet. We've got a few stacks, and that should be more than enough for now. So we need to make the soul binder, and if we go back over to the soul binder, to make this, we've got the 4 solarium, we've got all of the heads. All we need now is the machine chassis, and so we just need some more iron bars, which I think will be in this chest then? Yes, we'll take 4 of those. We've already got the iron ingots. We need another 1 of those basic capacitors, which means we need some gold, we need some copper, we've already got the redstone, and that should be pretty much good to go. So if we come back over here, we need golden nuggets to make the capacitor. We need 4 golden nuggets, 1 copper ingot, and 2 redstone. We can do that fairly easily, and then we can craft all of that together to get the machine chassis, and then we can combine that machine chassis up with all of the heads and all of the solarium to get ourselves the soul binder. Nice. So we'll take this, and again, once more, we'll bring it downstairs and stick it down along this back wall where all of the power is. I think we'll put it like right about there just for symmetry's sake. And now we can use this. We can throw in the soul vial. You'll see it can hold 100,000 redstone flux, and so it shouldn't take too long for this to actually infuse that. Let's have a look again real quick at the recipe for the ender rail. You'll notice it does also say enchantment cost 10. I'm fairly certain that this is going to take 10 levels off of our level at the bottom here. We're currently level 33, and I believe if we throw it in the detector rail like so, yep, it's going to ask us for using player XP. We can click on that. That's going to take some levels off us, and then go ahead and enchant that together to get us our first ender rail. We are going to need a second ender rail because, of course, we need one in the overworld and then one in the nether. Thankfully, we do get the vial back, so we can take this and we can once again come over here, switch this on, get our second enderman soul, and then combine that up with another one of these detector rails, and that will get us the second ender rail, which will go in the nether. Now, the way that the ender rails work is that they have to be on top of a dimensional transceiver in order for them to actually be able to teleport from one dimension to another. So, let me quickly just whip this second one up here. So in order for these to work, we're actually going to have to make two dimensional transceivers as well. For those who are unfamiliar, these work in almost the same way as Tesseracts. They allow you to transfer energy, items, and liquids between one another. And so for the ender rails to work, we are going to need two of these. And to get these, we need 4 electrical steel, 2 fused quartz, 1 enderman resonator, which is why I got a few more of those enderman heads, which is made with some solarium, an enderman head, 1 vibrant alloy, and 2 silicon in a slice and splice, which we'll get to in just a second, as well as an octadic capacitor, which is made with 2 double layer capacitors, 2 vibrant alloys, 1 glowstone, and then the double layer capacitors are 2 normal capacitors with 2 energetic alloys and 1 pulverized coal. And then finally, we need an ender crystal, which is another soul vial containing an enderman soul with a vibrant crystal, which is some vibrant alloy nuggets surrounding an emerald. And that will get us the dimensional transceiver. We need 2 of these in order for our ender rails to work, and that is going to be pretty expensive, but I think that we can do it. So let's take this back again. Let's grab another enderman soul real quick. We'll flick that on. For the electrical steel, we can make all that already. We've made electrical steel before. It's just some iron, some coal dust, and some silicon, which we can get by pulverizing clay in the sag mill, all smelted together with 10,000 redstone flux. That is fairly easy. I really want to grab that guy, but that's fine. The ender resonator, let me quickly grab you. There we go. I'll turn that. Oh, please don't kill me. My grinder should. There we go. Okay, let's turn that off real quick. Flick that off. The ender resonator also shouldn't be too hard because the slice and splice is not a machine that's all too hard to make. If we look up the recipe for the slice and splice, it is 5 solarium, another mob head, 1 iron axe, 1 shears, and then another machine chassis, all of which should be fairly easy to do. We've got 5 solarium left, which is the perfect amount. As for another machine chassis, we should have everything it takes to make another capacitor. There should be some more iron bars in here, although there are not quite enough, and so we are going to have to grab some more iron from there and craft that up real quick like so. Once we got that, we can make our second machine chassis, and then we can actually use our player head for this recipe as well. So in this mod pack, when you die, you get a gravestone, and when you break it open, you get your head. And so if I put that in here, that will actually work as part of the recipe. If you watch this for long enough, you'll see that a normal player head does pop up there. You can put a normal player head in there in place of anything else. We're also going to need a set of shears, which is easy enough, as well as an iron hatchet like so. And once we've got all of those, we should be able to put everything in and have that just work. We can't shift click the recipe in because iron axes and shears don't stack, but we can put all of the rest of the stuff in by hand like so. Stick the head at the top. That's going to get us a slice and splice. And then in order to make the ender resonator, we just need 2 more solarium, 1 enderman head, 1 vibrant alloy, which is an ender pearl and an energetic alloy. And an energetic alloy is made with glowstone, redstone, and a golden ingot. And we are going to need quite a few of those in today's episode. So I'm going to go ahead and start crafting 10 of those up right about now. If we grab 10 golden ingots from in here, we should be able to start crafting all of those up like so. That's going to get us a bunch of those vibrant alloys. All we're missing now is some solarium and some silicon. So if we've got some clay left over, which I don't think we do, although we do already have some silicon, so that's fine. I should probably go out and get a little bit more clay just so we can get some more silicon if we need it. And we're also going to have to go back to the nether, get some more soul sand, and make some more of the solarium ingots. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go away. I'm going to wait until all of these energized ingots have smelted up. I'm going to smelt up a little bit more solarium. I'm going to get some more clay for some more silicon, and I'll be back in a second. Alright, so a little while later, I've done a bunch of smelting in the alloy smelter. We now have quite a few of these energetic alloys, as well as 4 of these vibrant alloys, and we're currently working on getting all of the electrical steel that we need. So, if we now come down back to the slice and splice, and by the way, it's such a pain getting down these ladders in bat form. Sometimes it goes really nicely, sometimes I kind of like jitter on the way down there, not quite sure what that's about, but with the slice and splice, which is over here, let's put that down down, I guess, like there. We'll try and put a machine here at some point in the near future. We need to put in another iron axe and another shear into the top here. And then if we come on over to our Enderman heads, we can put those at the top. We can put the vibrant alloys at the bottom. We can put the silicon either side. And then we can put the solarium, which is still in the chest upstairs, either side of the Enderman head at the top. And that's going to use up 20,000 redstone flux and get us our first Ender resonator. So let's put both of those like that. It's going to take a little bit of time, but that gets us the first. And there's a second. Nice. So we can take both of those, and now all that we need, all of the only hard parts left for the dimensional transceivers are the ender crystals and the octadic capacitors. So I think I'm going to start with the octadic capacitors because those ones have a bunch more steps than the ender crystal. And so for those, we're going to need some more gold, we're going to need some more copper because we do have to make all of the basic capacitors. And so you'll see, to get one octadic, you need 2 double, and to get 1 double, you need 2 basic. And so we're going to need 8 basic capacitors just to start out. And so let's again craft up some more golden nuggets. We can then use those golden nuggets with our redstone and the copper ingots in the middle to get a bunch of these basic capacitors. Once we've got 8 of those, in order to turn them into AA capacitors, we need some coal dust as well as, I believe, some energetic alloys. Yes, we need 1 coal powder and then 2 energetic alloys. So we're going to need 2 coal powder and 4 energetic alloys in order for that to work. We currently do not have any coal powder, but we can get that fairly easily by just throwing our coal into there. And the electrical steel is well on its way. We currently have 5. I'm pretty sure that we need 8 in order for that to work. I might have to put a little bit more silicon in. I did go out and get a bit more clay and then throw that clay through the sag mill here to get some more of the silicon. Is that still doing its thing, or is that now done? Let's put 2 more silicon in there, and hopefully, yeah, that should continue to work. We can also take all of this clay and put it back through the sag mill again. You do get quite a bit of clay back, so it's not too much of a loss for the silicon that we get. And so now, back over to the crafting station, we should be able to make 2 of these AA capacitors, and then we can use both of those to make the normal octadic capacitor with the 2 vibrant alloys as well as a block of glowstone, which you can actually access from within here. So we'll just do something like that, stick that in the middle, stick the vibrant alloy on the bottom and the top, and then put the 2 AA capacitors either side like so. That's going to get us 1 of the 2 octadic capacitors that we need. We are missing some more energetic alloys and some more vibrant alloys, and so what I'm going to do real quick, guys, I'm going to go away, I'm going to use the ender pearls we have down here to make some more of those vibrant alloys, and I'll be back in a second. And a little while later, now that we've got the 2 vibrant alloys, we can bring those back over to the crafting station, craft our normal capacitors into some AA capacitors with the help of some more of these energetic alloys, and then we can craft both of those AA capacitors into the final octadic capacitor like so, and now we are almost good to go to make both of these dimensional transceivers. All that we need are 2 of these ender crystals, and to make these, we again need the soul vial with the enderman soul, as well as a vibrant crystal, and the way that you make a vibrant crystal is with an emerald, and then 8 of these vibrant alloy nuggets, which are of course made by putting a vibrant alloy into a crafting table. And so what I did is I went on back over to the village nearby, traded in some more wheat for some more emeralds. So now we've got 2 more of those. All we need to do is put the energetic alloys back in there, quickly grab 2 more ender pearls. That's going to allow us to make the final 2 vibrant alloys that I think we're going to need for today's episode. And then once they're done, we are pretty much good to go. However, we are going to need some more rails because you'll notice we made all detector rails. We don't really need any more detector rails, but we had to make 16 of them in order to actually craft up the ender rails that we're using. But I did leave this running. We now have almost 10,000 millibuckets, so 10 buckets worth of creosote oil in there. So, if we quickly grab some more oak, we should be able to craft up some normal rails fairly easily. And again, once we've got 4 of those, we can craft that up into the wooden rail bed. We can come back over to our rolling machine, get another set of these standard rails, because we are going to need 6 more just to make some normal tracks. They should start crafting any second now. We might have to put a second set in just for that to start working. There we go. And again, whilst we're waiting for that, we can come back up here. We can grab our vibrant alloys. We can craft those up into vibrant nuggets. And once you've got those, we can craft that up into these 2 vibrant crystals, and then we can use both of those downstairs in the soul binder with our enderman souls to get the ender crystals. So let's go in here, let's put you in there with you. Whilst we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and actually we can't grab another soul yet because we need that jar back. Whilst we're waiting for that, I guess let's grab those out of there and then craft up some standard track like so. And then this is, for now, just going to go along here. I plan to have the ender rail there. The cart's going to come in all the way along. And then on this track here, it's going to deposit all of its lava into a tank that is going to get sent round to the magmatic dynamos. We'll get to those in a second. Is this done? It is. We can take you. Let's quickly grab a second enderman soul and run the process again. And finally, now that we have the second ender crystal, we can craft all of this together to get ourselves the dimensional transceivers. Nice! And so, if we put one of these down over here, the way this works is if I try to put an ender rail down normally anywhere in the world, it just doesn't work. You have to put it down directly on top of a dimensional transceiver like so. Shift click to put it on top. You'll see right now it's facing that way. The arrow points to the way that the cart is going to move when it lands on the rail, so we want to just right click with the wrench to point it that way. So now when the cart lands, it's going to move this way, and then once it gets to here, we need to set up a system that allows the cart to stop, empty out its tank, and then send the cart back over this way to the ender rail. And to do that, we're going to need quite a lot of stuff, the first of which is the tank cart. As the name suggests, this is a normal cart that can carry liquids, and to make it, we just need a normal minecart from Minecraft, which is just 5 iron ingots, as well as an iron tank gauge from Railcraft. And to make this, we need to craft together 5 glass panes and 4 iron plates. The iron plates can be made in the rolling machine with 4 iron ingots, so let's go ahead and move those over to there. Those should craft up fairly easily. Whilst we're waiting for that, let's grab some of our glass from this chest over here. If we take 6 of those, I don't think we have any glass panes in any of the other chests. It doesn't look like we do, so let's just craft that up like so. That's gonna get us the glass panes. The rolling machine should be done by now. It's not really all too slow of a craft. And then once we've got both of those, we can craft those up into the iron gauge. I'm not quite sure, but then we can go ahead and craft up a minecart and then craft together the minecart and the iron gauge. That's gonna get us the tank cart, and this is what we're going to use to transport the lava from the overworld to the nether via the ender rail. Now all we need to do is set up a system on this side that allows us to unload the lava, and set up a system in the nether that allows us to load the lava into the cart. And to do that, we need to start by making ourselves a locking track, which is another kind of rail from Railcraft. This is going to allow us to stop the cart, load or unload all of the contents within the cart, and then send it back in the opposite direction towards the ender rail. So to make this, we need 6 of these advanced railings, which are made with 3 gold, 3 redstone, and 3 standard rails. We still have 3 standard rails spare from our previous crafts, so we can put those in there. 3 gold and 3 redstone should be easy enough. We've still got a fair amount of gold, although we have burned through quite a lot in today's episode. And actually, let me put one of those back there because my inventory is already a big enough mess as it is. So let's put all of those into the rolling machine. We want to have the gold on the right and then the redstone in the middle. We might have to put another set on there, but I think, yeah, you can hover over it and you can click to craft. And if you click to craft, you don't have to have a second set in. So that gets us all of those. We are then, of course, going to have to empty our inventory out because, wow, it's full of junk right now. Let me get rid of just a couple of items here so we can free up some space. Also, we should probably get rid of those seeds, the zombie head, the sulfur, the gold nuggets, and the wheat, as well as the mining multi-tool. We don't need that. However, we are going to need a little bit more wood in order to make the remainder of the rail bed, because we need 1 more rail bed in order to make the locking track. We also need 2 stone so that we can craft up a pressure plate, so we'll take both of those. And then finally, we need 1 more piece of redstone to finish this guy off. So, let's quickly head on back downstairs. We should have more than enough creosote over here. Yeah, we've got 17,500 to make another rail bed, so let's just quickly do that. And again, once we've got 4 of those, we can craft that up into the wooden rail bed, and then finally, we can craft that up into 16 locking tracks, like so. Again, we don't need 16 of these, we only need 2, but for now, we're going to put it down, and this thing actually has multiple modes. And to switch between the modes, we need to get ourselves a crowbar from Railcraft. So to make a crowbar, we need 3 iron ingots and then 4 rose red. We should, I think, have enough poppies in one of these chests here. I'm fairly certain we've had a few of them. Yeah, we've got 6 in here. So if we grab 4 of those, that's going to allow us to craft up the 4 rose red, and then we can just put the 3 iron along the middle like so, put the 4 rose red either side like that. That's going to get us the crowbar, and now if we right click on the track with the crowbar, that's going to allow us to change the current mode of the track, and we want it so that the arrow is pointing back this way, like that. So we want it set to boarding mode. So now what's going to happen is the cart's going to come along, it's going to stop here, and then once it's finished unloading all of its lava, it's going to go back in the opposite direction. But before we can do that, we do actually have to make an unloader to pull all of the lava out of the cart. And so over here we have the fluid loader and the fluid unloader. We are going to need both of these. They're both made in almost the exact same way, with 6 glass, 1 detector, and then 1 hopper, with the detector being made with a bunch of bricks and a pressure plate. We currently have a bunch of bricks left over from the coke oven at the beginning of today's episode. episode, we don't quite have enough glass, and so I am going to have to smelt up a little bit more sand here. Let's just go ahead and throw that into there. That's going to make us quite clear glass, but we can use our chisel to turn it back into normal glass fairly easily. And then as for the detector, we're just going to need some more stone so we can make ourselves 2 more pressure plates, and then we can use those pressure plates with the bricks that we have to make the 2 detectors. How are we doing on glass? We currently have 6 there, and then 16 quite clear. That should be more than enough if I can find my chisel. Which I cannot, but that's fine. We can go ahead and make another one fairly easily. Let's grab you, and then let's craft that back into normal glass like so. Once we've got that, we should be able to fairly easily make both the loader and the unloader by simply shift-clicking in the recipes. But before that, we do actually need to make the 2 hoppers. We are running a little bit low on wood, and so I think I am going to have to head on out before I can make the loader. But just to prove how this is going to work, let's go ahead and craft up a chest, and let's quickly craft the unloader so we can set up the system on this side, and that'll go away and set up the exact same system in the nether. So we're going to put the unloader underneath the tank. If you hover over them both, you'll see that the fluid unloader says place under the track, and you'll see the fluid loader you have to place above the track. And so for this one, I think we'll actually have to pick up this rail, but that's fine. We'll get rid of this. And then we'll put down the unloader right about there, and then all we have to do is put down the locking track back on top of it, like so. It's currently set to its default mode, so again, let's just quickly right-click with the crowbar until it points that way. And now, if we put down the cart on here, I should probably also make some of the powered rails, but for now, you'll see it'll come over here, and then once it is emptied, it should get sent back. There we go. So you'll see that as soon as the cart realized that it was empty, as soon as the unloader down here realized that the cart was empty, emitted a redstone signal, and the locking track released the cart and sent it back over this way. If you come in here, you can actually configure when the fluid unloader releases a redstone signal. You can see right now we have it set to empty, which says hold cart until completely empty. We can change it to immediate. We can change it to manual. I'm going to leave it at empty because I don't want the cart to move away until it is completely empty. So, just to show you that again real quick, if we can get this moving, once it's over here, it'll realize that the cart is empty and send it right back. So we don't have any powered rail, but I think it should be fine because we're going to have one of these on either side of the system, and I think they should provide enough force to send the cart over in that direction. Right now the cart's not going anywhere because this ender rail is currently not linked, but what we need to do now is head on over to the overworld and set up essentially the exact same setup, but instead of using a fluid unloader, we need a fluid loader. And so what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go away, I'm going to quickly make a fluid loader, I'm going to find a nice spot in the nether to set this up, and I'll be back in a second. And a little while later, I found a nice spot in the nether with a bunch of open lava where nobody else has put down a pump. We've got our current setup, which is almost exactly the same as the one in the overworld. Apart from this time, we now have the fluid loader, which is on top of the locking track. And again, it's going to work in exactly the same way. The cart is going to arrive on this ender rail. It's going to get sent around. Let me quickly kill this virgin gas because these things are super annoying. And also, it is a free gas tier if I can grab it, which I didn't manage to do. And I'm also going to kill this one real quick as well. There we go. Okay, cool. We do have a few gas tiers already. I've already killed 2 gas today. Jeez. But essentially, the cart's going to arrive. I've pointed the track so it's pointing this way. So the cart's going to arrive. It's going to go this way. It's going to land on here. I've set the fluid loader to force full, which means it's going to hold the cart until it's full on lava, at which point it's going to send it back in this direction. Again, over. And then once it lands on here, it's going to get teleported to the overworld, at which point it's going to go over to the unloader. Again, wait there until it gets unloaded, come back, and repeat the cycle over and over and over again, giving us an infinite amount of lava from the nether. Now, the only things we're currently missing are the pump itself. We need to set up a pump to actually pump the lava out of this big lava pool and into the fluid loader, but we also need to configure the ender rail here. So the way that this works, if we come in here, it does require power. Over here on the left, you can see it's got a local buffer and then a send and receive. You can also use it to transfer power to and from different dimensional transceivers, but what we're going to do is, for now, I'm going to put down a magmatic dynamo right about there, like that, and we're going to use that to power this transceiver and also the other transceiver. And for that, I'm just going to have a fluid conduit come off the pump around and over to here, so this is going to get directly powered from the lava that is here. That's going to power this, and then inside of the dimensional transceiver, we need to configure the rails, because you can actually have multiple of these set up. So if we come in here and we go down to rail, we have the ability to create kind of channels and send and receive to certain other channels and other rails. So I'm going to set this one to nether send, and I'm going to add that. I'm going to set that to send. And then in the overworld, what we do is we click on nether send and we click receive. So what's going to happen then is that when a card comes across this track, it's going to see that this is nether send, so it's going to send it to the overworld. It's going to look for any other track that is trying to receive nether send. It's going to notice that the one in the overworld is looking to receive it. It's then going to receive it, and then the vice versa is going to be true from the overworld to the nether. We're going to have to create one that's like overworld send, and then we're going to set that to send in the overworld and receive in the nether. And so let me quickly go back to the overworld. And so back in the overworld, we want to go back into our dimensional transceiver, and then under track, we want to receive what the nether is sending, and then we want to send what the overworld is sending. So we want to create one that's called overworld send, add that to it, and so we're going to send out overworld send, and then when we go back to the nether to put the pump down, we're going to have that one receive overworld send, and that way, these tracks are going to be constantly sending the cart back and forth to one another. And so now, all we need to actually do to get this up and running is get a pump so we can pump the lava out from the big pool of lava in the nether and back through to the overworld. And for that, we are going to use the pump from Extra Utilities. That is the endothermic pump. And to make this, we need 4 ender infused obsidian, 1 diamond, 1 eye of ender, 1 iron pickaxe, 1 lava bucket, and 1 water bucket. So ender infused ender is made with 4 obsidian and 1 eye of ender. Do I have 4 obsidian lying around? I do not. I am 1 shy. I've got 3 obsidian. Wow, that is real annoying. As for everything else, we should be pretty much good to go. We can use our redstone and our glowstone downstairs in our fluid transposer to get another piece of blaze powder, and then we can of course craft that together with the ender pearl to get the eye of ender. So let me put you in there. No, let me put you in there and put you in there. While that's doing that, I'm going to head on down to my mine, grab a little bit more obsidian, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so now we've got the 4 obsidian, we can take that, we can come on downstairs and grab our blaze powder. On the way, we can grab 2 ender pearls, 1 for the eye of ender, and then the other for the ender infused obsidian. So let's just grab you out of there. Let's come back over to here. We can craft up 1 eye of ender like so. We can use that other one for the ender infused obsidian like so. We can then put those in the corners after we've made our iron pickaxe like that. So that's going to go at the bottom. These are going to go in the corners. I did grab a bucket of water and a bucket of lava whilst I was out, and then all that we need after that is a diamond and the eye of ender. So let me quickly grab one of our diamonds from my end chest. We currently got 7 of those, which is fine. So let's head on back downstairs, stick that at the top, and that is going to get us the endothermic pump. And essentially, this works like any normal pump would, except for the fact that as it consumes blocks of lava, it replaces them with stone. You may have seen other people using them in the nether. You'll see like there's a bunch of stone where lava used to be. And the reason why it does that is it reduces the amount of lag on the server. If you use normal pumps, they just pump the lava out, and then it creates a lot of running lava, which creates a lot of lag, whereas if you just replace them with more blocks, it's a lot more lag free. And so all we need to do now is take us through to the nether, but we're also going to need to take some power conduits and some fluid conduits so that we can power the pump, and then also move all of the lava from the pump back around into the fluid loader and to the magma crucible. So I'm going to quickly craft up some more energy conduits and some more fluid conduits, and I'll meet you guys in the nether. Okay, so now we're back over in the nether. We've got a bunch more of these energy and fluid conduits. Let's go ahead and start by putting down the endothermic pump, which I'm going to put down right about there. We then need to hook this guy up with some power, so let's just run these cables back and along to the magmatic dynamo, which I actually think we're going to have to move here because you only get power out of the front. So let's get rid of that, and then let's put it, I guess, like there for now. It should work fine, so we'll have the power come out of there, go down and around into here, and then also come across and along into there. We then need to run the fluid conduits that are going to come out of here. I don't know if you can pull directly out of there, actually. We might have to put a tank onto that because I don't think it has an internal storage buffer, but actually we could, yeah, no, I think we're going to have to go back and make a tank for that. But essentially it's going to come across like this. It's going to go into the fluid loader, so it's going to get some of the lava, and then it's going to come across and down and along into the magma dynamo as well. I guess we can just have it go right about there. Let me get rid of some of these excess pipes that I just put down. Didn't mean to put down that one or that one. We can have that just come down like so, and then across like that. Yeah, that's right. So now, as soon as this thing gets some power, which we should be able to do by just putting lava into our magmatic dynamo. So let's put lava into there. That's going to start to power that. It is receiving power, and it is working. Oh, and it is sending lava as well. Wow, okay, cool. So that's filling that up. That filled that out almost instantly. And this thing is also now powered and ready to go. And what I did in the overworld before I left is under the energy tab, I created a channel called power. And what I'm going to do now, in the overworld, I set it to receive. Over here, I'm going to set it to send. And so now the dimensional transceiver in the overworld is also powered using this lava power as well. And so now, if we put down our tank cart right about here, we'll give it a gentle nudge over that way. It's going to stop there. It's now filling up with lava, and when it's finished, it's going to get sent back over to here, and it should end up back in the overworld. And so what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to go away through to the portal and wait in the overworld to see if the cart arrives and to see if everything works well on the other side. Okay, so we had a little bit of an issue there with the cart. It has arrived here in the overworld. The issue that we had, I have to push it, the issue we had is that the dimensional transceiver on this side didn't receive any power, and so wasn't turned on, and the reason for that is that the other dimensional transceiver was filling up its internal buffer of 250,000 before it sent power over to this side, and because the magmatic dynamo wasn't producing that much power, it took longer for the dimensional transceiver to fill up with power than it did for the tank cart here to fill up with lava. But as you can see over here, this thing is now emptying its contents out into the fluid unloader down here. It's going to have just enough space to actually unload all of that, and then once all that's unloaded, it will get sent back over to here. Now that this is receiving power, it only takes 10 RF to actually keep up, and the dynamo in the nether should be producing 80 redstone flux per tick, leaving 60 left over for the pump, so they both should stay online from now on. But essentially, once this is done, it should get sent back over by this through onto the ender rail. Oh, it didn't work. Why didn't it work? That should have worked just fine. Oh, I don't think I set the cart tab on the other side to receive the overworld send. But as soon as we get there, it should automatically just teleport it over. Yep, I didn't set this to receive overworld send, but if I do now, the cart will arrive. It does need a gentle push because whenever it stops, it kind of loses its mobility. But as soon as this one fills up, I'm going to break this. As soon as this one fills up, it should actually fully work from now on. So that's going to fill up. Again, I'm going to head on back to the overworld, guys, and I'm going to wait, and we should see the cart arrive once it is full on lava. And there it is. As soon as the cart is filled up, it gets sent back over, brought to the overworld. It comes over here. It's currently full, and this guy has nowhere to put all of his stuff, so nothing's going to happen quite with that just yet. Let me actually see about making a drum from extra utilities, just as kind of a buffer for all of this stuff. The drum is basically a really big tank that can hold up to, I think, 256,000 millibuckets. Yeah, so 256 buckets worth of any liquid. So, if we were to quickly make a cauldron, and then, what else do we need? 2 weighted plates, so we should make 2 of those. We can then use all of those to make a drum. And then if we put that drum underneath and use the fluid conduits to pull it out, let's go with the cheaper fluid conduits because it's going with gravity. We don't need to use the pressurized fluid conduits that we made last episode. We can just put that there. We can put the drum right about there. We can then set that to, it's automatically pulling it out, but we'll set that to extract nonetheless. That's going to start to fill up. That's going to start to empty out. And essentially, guys, what I'm going to do between episodes is I'm going to pump all of the lava out of that lava drum round and into our magmatic dynamos. I'll probably end up making a couple more of those magmatic dynamos. For now, I think we'll have 2 over here, 1 maybe there in the center, and then 2 over here, so we'll have 5 in total, and we will no longer have to use all of these tanks going back and forth to the nether to grab all of our lava. Instead, this cart is going to simply empty out, and as soon as it's empty, it should send back over through to the nether, fill itself up on lava, and then come back again. There it goes, through to the nether. It's going to fill itself up, and then in a few minutes, it'll come back with another 32,000 millibuckets, or 32 buckets worth of lava. And with that, guys, I'm going to end this episode of the CrackPack there. As always, if you did enjoy the video, be sure to like. It really does help out a lot. Leave a comment down below. Feel free to share the video if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time.